Hallo, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Khushamdi ji ayanu. Goedemorgen is Pata.
Bukhair agile, ni hao, chune shumme, washmale, ohai, gizaimis, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, bhalli kare aaya. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You're watching World this morning. Alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb, the very supportive, the very intellectual, the very, I believe that, she's one of those person, ladies and gentlemen, who's got a very warm heart as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Miss Shiza Hashmi. Hello, Shiza. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I just feel like I got invited to your show. And so thank you so much for the kind words. How are you doing? And well, can we talk about why you were missing? Because I think it can be a message for a lot of people.
Yes, exactly. I certainly want to talk about that, but I thought that you're actually going to introduce me as well. But let me introduce myself, ladies and gentlemen. The one and the only, the lovely, the most adorable you have ever come across. He is Mr. Shahzad Hasan Khan. But ladies and gentlemen, we hope and pray that everybody out there in 46 different countries is ready to kickstart their day with us. I mean, it's not really necessary that in your country it might be morning. It can be evening, it can be nighttime. So whatever you're doing, please make sure that you enjoy the conversation we're going to have today. But I was missing yesterday, and it was because of the fact that my toddler, my youngest daughter, who's 1.5 years old, is actually been hospitalized because she's been under the weather. She was sick, she had flu, then there were other problems and complications. But alhamdulillah, she's getting better. And so I thought that, okay, how can I feel better? So the very first thought which came across to my mind was that, okay, once I'm going to go on my show, I will gather energy for myself as well and then head straight to the hospital. So everybody who's out there, please make sure that you pray for my daughter and for all those other people who are out there who might be sick, might have any other problem in their life.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad you came, and I think credit to you as well, because ladies and gentlemen, yesterday the entire day he was at the hospital, of course, and then there are night shifts, so you have to take turns with your family members as well, and then you still made it to work. Thank you so much for doing that.
I love working, I cannot sit idle, which is why I was like, okay, aaj ke paise to kamaun na jaake. So that's what it is, but other than that, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, the secret's out, we are daily wagers.
But today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be another historic match in between Pakistan and New Zealand. It's going to be the 19th match of the ICC T20 World Cup. We want to certainly wish best of luck to Pakistan, because what the Kiwis actually did while they were here in Pakistan, saying that they
shall be avenged today.
Yes, that they have some security concerns. Imagine that we are at a platform where they cannot back down. We do not want to back down at all, and no matter what happens, I think that Babar and Rizwan is actually going to punish them the same way they punished India.
Oh, how!
Just yesterday, in fact, when it was Pakistan and India's match, ladies and gentlemen, when we saw Prime Minister Imran Khan witnessing the match alongside his other peers as well. It was cute, it was amazing, and it was very supportive as well.
Yeah,
at this point of time.
Well, we're heading out to a commercial break, but we'll be right back before you even know it. And then we need to begin the discussion on something that is so well important for this month.
Commercial break.
Let's do it. Welcome back to Well this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, luckily again, I have with me the super amazing, the super energetic, and the very learned Shahzad Khan.
Are you happy now? Thank you very much.
All right, so
that was a good bounce back.
Thank you so much. I try. Okay, so this month, ladies and gentlemen, October, and we over here call it Pinktober as well. It's very important in terms of awareness. So here's the thing: breast cancer is sort of now associated to this month of October as well, and through the entire month, we campaign, we advocate for learning about this very type of cancer, because it is so common over here in this region, in the entire world actually, but specifically in Pakistan for different factors contributing to it as well. It's very common. And we have kept on saying it as well. Now there's a ringtone sort of, or caller tune when you call someone as well. It tells you that it's not just limited to females now.
Yep.
While of course it is very, very frequent in females, but it can also occur in men. 1 out of 9, I read somewhere, men are also sort of exposed to the threat
Exactly.
of contracting would be the right word, or well, having breast
It
cancer
is,
at all.
or just, I think that the anatomy of a human body, ladies and gentlemen, is similar. It does not really discriminate in between genders as well. This is how Allah kind of has actually made us over here to be on this world. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan actually happens to be one of those countries where the cases are actually on the top in the index as well, because we have majority of the cases within the South Asian regions. We top the list somewhere on number 2 or number 3. And, throughout this month, we have actually been in conversation with people from Pink Ribbon. We've been in conversation with people from Shaukat Khanum as well. And now we actually wanted to kind of talk about, okay, now we know that, mammographs and, while you're actually taking a shower, you just kind of check yourself if there's a lump or something. And alhamdulillah, we are so glad that just because we have been doing it continuously for the last 5 or 6 years as well, and that there's no more stigma. That's how I want to
Thank
kind of
God,
refer to
yes.
it, and that everybody's kind of coming to the hospitals, getting themselves checked up, and then there are camps where you can go and get yourself a mammograph for free, which I believe is wonderful, because ladies and gentlemen, women actually play a very important role in every household, and not just in every household, within our own society. And when we are talking about a cancer which is 100% curable if detected in time, why should we be kind of looking for all of these solutions where we are going to get better? But not just that, since we have talked about what causes it, what happens, I think today we kind of want to focus on what lifestyle modifications we need to make within our own lifestyles, with which we can kind of avoid, what kind of healthy eating we really need to kind of undertake as well, to make sure that, God forbid, does not happen. And if, God forbid, it does happen, what are the treatments which are available? And today, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a very energetic Dr. Sahab over here as well. He's looking perfect, he's looking sharp, and he's all set. And he was the one who said that, that an impromptu conversation is actually going to be more fun. So, which is why we're keeping it that way. We really didn't kind of talk about the topic today. Earlier, we were only talking about exchange rates and whatnot. But so I think it's about time that we kind of dive straight into the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a consultant radiation oncologist. He happens to be Dr. Muhammad Farooq Sahab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. A very good morning. Thank you, Shazad. Thank you, Shazad. And we start with the prayers for your daughter.
Jazakallah, sir.
God bless her and God bless the whole nation.
Ameen, Ameen, sir. And sir, I love your Prince coat.
Oh, thank you very much.
Prince coats are back now, so everybody, if you're a fashion diva or something, I don't know what do we call the men? Do we call men fashion divas as well?
I mean, you can say fashion enthusiast.
Okay,
for sure.
fashion enthusiast. Okay, but diva kind of sounded
Diva is a
really
diva, yeah.
like on. Yeah. But Dr. Sahab,
right.
now coming back to you, it's Pinktober. Everybody's talking about breast cancer awareness. Let's start with the basics, and then we'll come down to what everybody needs to do, because it is 100% curable and 100% preventable as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shazad. The cancer is on the rise, and breast cancer is the most prevalent in women around the world, in our country as well.
Yep.
And as Shazad just mentioned, 1 out of every 9 females is at
all right.
risk.
Thank you for correcting.
The chance of having a breast cancer in men is very rare, but it does happen.
It does happen.
So in a year, probably we see 1 or 2 male breast cancers as well. So I'm sure in the past several days you must have talked about this month with several experts.
Exactly.
So I think we should go ahead and look into how can we prevent it.
True.
So there are 2 things. We outreach our communities. That's what we're doing right now. We're going to talk about it to everybody. Don't exclude the men. Every man has a mother, a grandmother, either maternal, paternal, aunts and khalas, and they've got siblings and they've got daughters. So it's very relevant to the men as well. You can't just shove them out of the responsibility. So we understand most of the breast cancers, if not all, are driven by the female sex hormone, which is the estrogens.
Okay.
So how does estrogen derive? It derives from the fat, and fat is everywhere in the body.
Okay.
So that's number 1. Number 2, estrogen needs metabolically at the cell level to act on the breast. Breast has 2 portions, the duct and the lobules.
All right.
The ducts form the ductal carcinoma, and the lobules cause the lobular carcinoma. Lobular carcinomas which occur in the lobule, they are more estrogen driven. They respond less to the chemotherapy. They occur bilaterally on both the breasts. They can occur in more of the breast rather than localized to one side. So these are the basics which we need to understand. So breast is all fat, and the estrogen are derived from the ovaries in fertile women,
Okay.
and they are derived from the fat depot in postmenopausal females.
All right.
So there are certain enzymes that act and cause proliferation of the breast cancer, and they are stopped by us in majority of cases by using anti-estrogens.
All right.
So,
So-
did you? So sorry if I'm cutting you, but please do add on to this as well. Post-menopausal women might have the vulnerability to develop cancer as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So being a female is a major cause of developing cancer.
All
And
right.
next
Nothing
is
to
the
do
aging.
with estrogen. I mean, in
Oh,
terms
it is estrogen, but the estrogen in
because of that.
postmenopausal female is derived from the fat,
Okay.
not
okay.
from the ovaries, because they're knocked down
Yeah.
by an enzyme called aromatase inhibitor. Aromatase.
And sir, in addition to that, okay, so I would certainly want to talk about the contributing factors as well, because we've kind of spoken about it as well. The God forbid if there's an excretion, if there's alarm, everybody needs to kind of go to the doctor. But now these days, everybody's got a ring tune to themselves as well, where
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a public service message, and what they say is that if you're above 40, that message kind of tells you that if you're above 40. Almost after every 6 months or after every year, you need to go and kind of get yourself a mammograph. Please speak about that. Number two, do you think that there's any connection of, God forbid, I don't know, because I'm asking so that there are women who might think this way, they kind of get rid of this thought process as well, that breastfeeding kind of contributes to breast cancer, God forbid. And number three, towards the end, do you think that obesity can be a contributor?
Absolutely, I was coming to that point.
Okay.
So starting with question one, mammography, yes, every female
40 above.
40 years should have a baseline mammogram. Now we understand mammogram is for asymptomatic people. They don't have any breast lump.
Yeah.
But being a female and aging, the first spike of breast cancer comes at 35, 40.
Okay.
So at 40, most of the density of the breast, which is whiteness, we see on the x-ray is gone. So 40 is the WHO recommendation. And then it needs to be repeated every 3 years because we're not that rich as a country. In America, yes, it's done yearly because they're paid by insurances and their employers. Here, it's all about us. Number two, we need to go to a physician or a caregiver every 3 years to get examined. And you can always start examining your own self every month starting at the age of 25 years after the menses is over. Because during the menses, the breast is already lumpy. So you give a week or 2 weeks after the menses, so it dies down to its normal.
All right.
Now coming back to your second question was about obesity and breastfeeding. So we come back to cholesterol, estrogens. So if you're not breastfeeding, you are not diverting the estrogens.
Okay.
All right. If you are fat, you're rich in cholesterol, so estrogens can be easily derived from there. Similarly, if you have early menarche, means early age at menses, the normal age should be 13, 14 years. But if you are at 9 years and you are starting your menses, which we see in our population, so that's 5 extra years of estrogens multiplied by 12 cycles, so that goes quite high. Similarly, females should have a menopause at around 47, 48. What if they menopause at 55? That gives them an extra 8 to 9 years. So
Right.
those estrogens are going to act on your glandular tissue, causing this carcinogenic change. Similarly, if you're taking a lot of alcohol, going back into the body as deposited as extra energy in the form of fat. Similarly, the food we take, more we deviate from the organic food, the natural food, the one which is made by God, the more we deviate, the more we are eating rubbish. The fast food, for instance, stored in unhygienic conditions, stored very long, taking these kebabs and
Frozen food.
foods and taking them in the form of oil-rich fried stuff.
Said those cheese samosas.
This
and
cheese samosas,
nuggets
lovely,
Oh, I'm so hungry already.
So these are the type of changes we've brought into our lifestyle, in our dietary stuff that have deviated the cellular metabolism to something which goes towards carcinogenesis. Now, when I was young, we had this Dalda advertisement coming. It says in the end fortified with vitamin A and D, and that was enriched But now what I see is these fancy packings of milk, which I think is devoid of vitamin A and D, and that goes into the cheese part, which is subtracted from there, and the cream part, which goes extra. So I don't think most of the people would take cheese. We are not a cheese-loving country.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us
So,
are.
so vitamin
love
D. So if I see in my clinic, every time I ask for a vitamin D level, it's low. The normal is 23 and above, and I see 4, 7, 17. So vitamin D is also, deficiency is also attributed to breast cancer.
All right. Well, this is, of course, really informative. And I have a very, I want to say, a common question coming from a lot of women who have PCOS recently. So, ladies and gentlemen, polycystic ovary syndrome is a very common condition over here. In this region specifically, a lot of women that I personally know are going through it, and it does cause sort of, what do you say, difficulties, of course, just dealing with your life as well. So are PCOS women more vulnerable to having breast cancer is something Dr. Saab will answer. But let's take a look at this very informative report we have about breast cancer and about this particular month, how to go about the awareness. And after we come back, we'll talk about PCOS.
Awareness surrounding breast cancer is incredibly important as early detection, often thorough screening, can catch the disease when it is most treatable. According to some research, patients are experiencing better outcomes as a result of early diagnosis, state-of-the-art treatment options, and less extensive surgery. Samina Alvi, who's leading an extensive awareness campaign throughout the month of October, urged upon women to remain wary and consult doctor for clinical examination. In 2020, there were 2.3 million women diagnosed with breast cancer globally. As far as Pakistan is concerned, around 36,000 cases among women were reported in 2020, out of which 13,000 women died. 1 in every 9 women in Pakistan is likely to suffer in her lifetime. Breast cancer continues to be the highest reported malignancy at Shaukat Khana Memorial Cancer Hospital and Research Centers. Over the past 2 decades, SKMT has organized a number of awareness activities and has fought breast cancer on multiple fronts, including education, training of healthcare professionals, research and state-of-the-art treatment facilities for all patients. Irrespective of their ability to pay, Shaukat Khana Memorial Trust is expanding its services to be able to provide treatment to more cancer patients.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the facts and figures are definitely not on a very positive side as well, which is why it's better to kind of prevent it. And how to prevent it? Obviously, Shiza has actually posed a question to Dr. Farooq Saab as well, that how to kind of go about for women who actually have polycystic ovary syndrome as well. But not just that, I think towards the end of this segment, I would rather want you to kind of share a few details about lifestyle modifications which can help us prevent it.
So, going back to your question, polycystic syndrome, data between this and having the breast cancer is very inconsistent.
Okay.
So there are lots of case control studies when they've done a meta-analysis. Look, they could not actually find an exact reason.
correlation.
But since these syndrome cause anovulatory cycles, so estrogen is available, directly acting instead of right there at the uterus, it acts at the glandular level of the breast. So delaying pregnancy beyond 33 years, again, because of the estrogen axis, there's no diversion towards pregnancy. So again, it works on the glandular tissue of the breast and it poses a challenge. So amenorrhea, delay in pregnancies, they all pose indirectly through the estrogens that I mentioned.
Okay.
So coming back to the lifestyle modification, it's very simple. Draw a simple lifestyle. That doesn't mean you don't go to the gym and you don't go to the one-dayers, the T20s. What that means is just
Organic food?
the not natural organic food, the one which is made by God. So if you put some desi ghee on the chapati and make it a paratha, that's still a desi stuff. It's natural.
Yeah.
But if you're cooking it out of stored, frozen, I don't think that's a good idea.
So sir, then, there are 2 more questions to ask, and that is that, obviously the kind of lifestyle we have now, so our mothers usually, if you talk about every other common household we have outside, so any mother who would actually cook, she would keep in mind that okay, आज भी चल जाएगा, कल भी चल जाएगा.
Absolutely.
Things like that.
That's
And,
not a
you
good
know,
idea.
I do that.
Obviously, it's a lot of work for mothers to do
Yeah.
as well. And then what happens is that usually, you're eating outside, so that food is being stored and being frozen for
Shazad,
days and days.
You nailed the, right.
Every household.
See, the problem is that's what is called westernization.
Yeah.
When the woman goes out, no gender discrimination.
Okay,
With all my
I'm
due
listening.
apologies, with all the respect, I mean, they are equal partners in our lives. I can get sick and my, home goes on, but when my wife gets sick, I can't work.
Yeah.
That's the law.
Yeah.
So you need to take care of your wives and daughters. But coming back to the question, we were about the lifestyle modifications. So these are ease stuff. Take out a can, try it and just eat it. Get a pizza. We don't know
Popcorn
what else to.
packets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So eat fresh, eat little. Don't eat for living.
Yeah.
Right? Just eat when you think you feel like. So normally what we see is we've just done our meals and then ice cream comes or a pizza comes for a child and we say, okay, let's have a loaf from there. So excess of eating, we need to stop that. Similarly, the cigarettes, unnecessary exposure to x-rays to this area, especially CT scans, because one CT scan of the chest can give you x-rays equivalent to 400 chest x-rays.
Oh,
So without
wow.
doctor's advice, you shouldn't be going for it. But I've seen women going for CT angiography, on their own because they want to see if their heart is all right or not.
Yeah.
Similarly, alcohol. Thanks God we are not an alcohol-loving country, but that's a major derivative of extra energy which is stored in the form of fat. Obesity means sedentary lifestyles.
Lifestyle, yeah.
We are not, I would say, nation who would go out into the gardens and roads and jog and walk.
I wish
What
we
we
could.
see in Islamabad is a typical example of a modern city,
True.
but that would be like less than 0.01%.
Exactly, which is why, sir, we have had guests over, who were actually traveling from abroad as well, and they were like, if you really want to see Pakistan, go outside 50 kilometers of Islamabad, and that's where you will see it. And it honestly is true. But sir, there's another question for you, and that is that because when we talk about men, obviously the estrogen levels do exist in men as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if there's testosterone, there's estrogen, and which is why, hence, they do kind of come across such unfortunate events as well, where it can happen to them. But so what happens is that since you said that, you're not stopping anybody from going to the gym, but you're rather talking about healthy eating, which is great. Now, a person like me, for example, we go to the gym, we cannot suffice our protein intake by just having goat meat or probably, beef for that reason as well. So we really need to take some powder forms of proteins as well, and then some pre-workouts. And then there are people who might recommend, I have not taken in the creatine, they say that, okay, there'll be great muscle development. And then there are people who take it beyond that as well, where they're kind of contesting amongst other bodybuilders as well, and they have to inject steroids. And let me be very honest, ladies and gentlemen, it happens almost everywhere. Do you think that people who are using these, formula protein shakes and all of these things can actually be putting themselves at risk of having all of these diseases?
Shazad, well, that's something that should come from the mouth of a nutritionist.
True.
But as far as my understanding is, no.
Okay.
Protein does not transform into cholesterol.
Okay.
It may injure your kidneys,
All right.
undoubtedly, but I don't think it has any relation with this. So coming back to the point of how do we modify ourselves, eat less, I said,
Yep.
eat fresh. Fresh veggies and fresh fruit should be part of your diet every day.
And what if the fast food is fresh?
Oh no,
you get it
there's
in
no
bulk?
concept. All right, if you have made a kebab at home
Yeah.
freshly,
Yeah.
and then you develop a burger out of it, that's
That's
fresh.
fine.
But if you're
Okay.
going back to these fancy
But that's not
stuff-
fast then.
That's not fast.
Yeah.
That's slow. So basically, what I understand over the past several decades is women going to work, so they are at short of time as much as men are, and men are not helping them, especially in our society. So overburdened, and then that goes into that. But that's only for the fraction of urban society.
Yeah,
Most of our
working
rural
women.
society is not directly related to that. They are doing work at the farms. They're thin, lean. So there are other factors which are not known. What we only know is cancer pops up when there's a genetic defect.
Oh.
And that genetic defect can come from anything that destroys your gene.
Yeah.
And in case of breast cancer, we have the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. We talked about it last year as well.
Yep.
So these two genes can occur in 10% of the population of patients who have breast cancer. That means 1 out of every 10 breast cancer can be hereditary, where it runs in the family. So how we pick that? A patient with breast cancer who's young at age, a patient who's got 3 or more family members, in the horizontal, in the siblings, or the first or second cousins, or vertically in their nannies and daddies and khalas. They're the type of patients who may have a high risk of developing breast cancer. It runs in the families as well, without BRCA mutations. So BRCA mutations are those which have been picked. There are other mutations where it coexists with other cancers in the form of syndrome, like you've got a P10 mutation, Cowden syndrome, it comes with thyroid, breast and thyroid. You've got a P53 mutation, it comes with soft tissue sarcomas, lymphsarcomas, it's a deadly cancer, plus breast cancer. So Lynch syndrome, where it can coexist with colonic CA, the uterine CA, the ovarian CA, as well as other cancers, rare cancers. So we have started to dig down what are the causes at the genetic level. The number 2 cause of cancer proliferation is when your immunity goes down, and we understand that needs good sleep, relaxation, less tensions. So when I was young, I used to think, how can tension cause cancer? Well, tension obviously releases certain hormones that can actually put your immunity to sleep. So it's just like policing in the city. If the police is not around, you know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for being so informative.
And so well explained.
Yeah, early in the morning, and so very well explained as well, where we talk about the grassroots causes of the cancer itself, ladies and gentlemen, but it's 100% preventable. The only thing you need to do is kind of go and get yourself a mammograph done as well. But for all the women out there, I think that the formula to stay away from breast cancer is C, healthy. All right.
Okay, go on.
Have healthy and then eat healthy as well, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that's what you really need to do. Just be healthy. Just make sure that you stay in shape, that you eat organic, that you eat healthier, and you exercise. The rest, I mean, everybody's supposed to go, and there will always be a reason for you to go from this world as well. But as far as you're concerned, all you need to do is eat healthy, have healthy, and just see healthy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all.
Definitely. And for all the men who did watch this show, I request you all to please spread this message among your family members, among your friends for that matter, any females in your life. You will be doing your job, I promise you that.
Exactly.
Well, on this note, we're headed to a very short break. And when
commercial break, yeah.
Yeah, all right. And when we come back, we have something inspirational to talk about. We'll probably share in the morning with you all, so you can have a good note to take forward in the day.
Wow.
Stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a lovely and a very pleasant morning over here, rather a day over here in Islamabad. I'm absolutely loving it, especially the fact that winter is here. I mean, officially now.
And the best part, ladies and gentlemen, is that every time you're actually going to see any women out there, I don't think that you're actually going to get to know whether it's winters or still summers
Why?
as well. Because they really do not want to wear chadars and shawls and sweaters, because they really want to show how nice their dress is. So
But then there are so many pretty
happens.
chadars and coats as well to, sort of flaunt with your dress.
So, it truly depends. But since I'm wearing a jacket myself, and I can see Shiza not wearing a coat or a jacket, so I was like, okay, is she feeling cold or not? But I think that the
Secretly,
temperature over here in the studios is just absolutely perfect. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that it is very important to network. And there's a reason why I'm saying so, because, you come across so many people, you travel to so many places, and it's wonderful how you can actually be amongst their network of their friends, or probably people whom they kind of call for work as well. And these days, with LinkedIn, with Facebook, with Instagram, with Snack Video, with TikTok, and so many other applications, people feel as if, and a lot of celebrities do feel that it is really important for them to be on each and every one of these platforms. But is it important? Do you think that networking is important? Because people like me, Shiza, what happens is that, we really are not the sort of people where we would just kind of connect with somebody because I might have for the sake of some work or for the sake of networking. But is it the right thought process? Is something which we will be digging about today as well. So do you have to say something, or do you want me to introduce?
You introduce, because I'm here to learn.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, if you have always been shy of networking, you really do not have to be. And this is something which I'm saying straight from my heart because I can vibe it. That's what our guest is going to tell us today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by a youth activist. She happens to be Miss Narmeen Iftikhar. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. Good morning, Shahzad and Shahzad.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, and I always love to talk to you guys. So it's such a nice morning, Shahzad.
Thank you very much.
As you
We
said.
love it too. You're
Thank
good at
you.
networking. You've already kind of got us into the mirror, that you love talking to us. It's wonderful. So first things first, do you think, because you belong to different backgrounds, some are very humble, some are very modest, some are very extravagant, and from every background you will have a very different personality. So the kind of personality I was brought up with is that I cannot network with somebody for the very purpose of that I will have to work with him or
Same
her,
here.
or she might have the same feeling for me as well. Do you think this is the right approach, or do you think that this approach needs to change? And with what kind of sentence do you want to change it?
I feel like it's okay if someone has a different point of view, if you guys do not share the same background and area of expertise or point of view, so it's totally fine. And when we talk about networking and social media networking in particular, I believe that it's more of getting in touch. You don't have to talk to that person. If you don't like them, just don't talk to them.
If they label you that you're sleeping in my DMs, that's what they say. Even if there's somebody who's following you, or if there's somebody who you have been following for a longer period of time, all of a sudden when you message somebody, on social media, the messages are not taken that seriously. I mean, obviously, if I'm going to see somebody in person and be like, hey, sir, I have a production house, you have a great face, would you mind modeling for my company? I think it looks more professional. But once you actually are on Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn obviously is a very different story. You really have a very different way of writing a
Professional,
message to
yes.
reach out to somebody. But with Instagram and Facebook, it always kind of looks casual. Do you think networking can be casual?
It
Good
can
question.
be, yeah, it is a very good question. It can be casual. Actually, you have to pick your network. You have to choose the people. You have to decide. It's all about some judgments and the right platform to use. You have people, they come from different backgrounds and expertise. Like you guys are Anchor, and I do follow you on Instagram, and you do have an amazing profile over there.
Thank you, but it has nothing to do with my work though. So
See, so you
technically, I'm not
chose.
promoting
No, but she chose you, right? But she didn't choose me.
because I have a better profile. Aw, sorry.
That's what I'm saying, because that's your first point, that you really need to choose the people you want to network with.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying, that, we live in a country where, for a woman to choose a woman is very simple. But for a woman to choose a man, or a man to choose a woman, is being directed into very different
Questionable,
notion,
yeah.
or very questionable notion.
It's kind of, it's a taboo, I guess. It's
Yeah.
a very stereotypical way which we need to break.
And we need to change it.
Yeah, we need to change it. And when we talk about LinkedIn, I love the thing that you can send. What I do is I send connection requests to anyone I feel that would be the right person to be in my social network. So it should not be a taboo for a woman if she reaches out to someone. It could be she wants to build her network, so let her do that. So it's totally fine if you like. I look up to her, like she. So I
That's
did
so
follow
sweet.
her, and I certainly like I do choose people I want to follow. So I feel like that if you decide your network, and it's really important to establish a very meaningful network. And it's not about always talking to them and bugging them with messages. You just stay in touch. You know what they're doing in their life. You are checking out their stories. If they are doing anything, if like I know what you're up to because we are connected on
Right.
Instagram. So it's really awesome